Terraria is a notoriously item-filled game, and in turn, a lot of those items get pushed aside and never get the recognition they deserve. Whether it's because they're new additions, out of the way, or even have some sort of, negative community outlook, there are a lot of underrated Terraria items. So today, I want to take a look at a handful of these items to try and put them in the spotlight and let you know why you should totally be using them. So, let's begin. Alright, so the first underrated item I want to talk about today is these spiffy little amphibian boots. You get amphibian boots by fishing up sailfish boots and a frog leg, throw them together at a tinker's workshop, and we're cooking. Amphibian boots give you the sort of classic speed that any sort of Hermes boots adjacent item would give you, but you get a jump boost and a handful of other buffs that we'll get to later. The jump boost itself, honestly, is kinda peak. The amphibian boots just make you feel so skippy and nimble, and I know what a lot of you are probably thinking at this point, but if you have a tinker's workshop, you should probably just make specter boots instead. But I'm gonna fight for the amphibian boots here. Let me explain. So one thing I feel like is so important is consistency. When you have amphibian boots, you are 99% of the time making use of this jump. Every single time I take a jump, this is effective, especially if I pair it up with a balloon. I got hops, and I'm not ever complaining about this. There's no reason to go wrong with these hops. But on the other hand, when I swap to specter boots, I just feel like I don't always need all that flight. Sometimes I'm taking fall damage, sometimes it's hard to switch directions midair, sometimes I end up moving too slowly and get hit by the boss anyway. I just think that the specter boots can just be a little bit extra. And even with all that being said, if you're not quite convinced on amphibian boots, there's more. Off rip, amphibian boots actually increase the amount of blocks you can fall without taking fall damage. However, if I swap to a purely specter boots loadout here, and then I jump off, 16 fall damage. It sounds stupid, but that could be the difference between winning and losing a hardcore run. That's pretty big. Okay, now for the last main feature of the amphibian boots. This one might honestly be the best. If you look at my movement speed up here, this is base flight for flame wings, right? I'm moving 52 miles per hour vertically. However, if I put on amphibian boots, I then fly at 65 miles per hour. We're not gonna sit here and act like this isn't peak, right? Basically, amphibian boots just increase your max movement. So there's certain items like wings that sort of let you take advantage of that movement increase. So that is my application for amphibian boots as the accessory of the year. And let's move on. Real quick, I want to let you guys know that I'll be doing some content on 1.4.5 when that comes out in a few weeks. And I also am shooting for 10k subs. So if you enjoy and you want to see more, drop a sub. Thank you very much. Let's get on to the next item. Alright, so the next underrated item I have for today is the PIGRONATA. Happy birthday! The PIGRONATA is an item that you can buy from the party girl during the party event, which can either happen sort of as a rare event in your worlds from time to time, or if you buy the party center from the party girl as well, activate that, and then you can just buy it anyway. It's right here. After you buy a few, you can actually place these down, smack them with a weapon, and you'll get one of 4 items. Either money, party flasks, bacon, or party bullets. Now, the money and the flasks aren't really anything important, but the bacon and the bullets are genuinely so good. If you don't know, party bullets are actually the best bullets you can possibly get in pre-hard mode. And technically, since the party girl is a pre-boss NPC, you can get these before Eye of Cthulhu. This will genuinely make every single boss fight that you use a gun on so much easier for the entire rest of pre-hard mode. And it's absurd. If we do a little comparison here, musket balls have 7 damage and party bullets do 10, which on the surface doesn't seem like anything crazy, but if you really think about it, that's a 42% damage increase just by breaking some piñatas. What? And of course, alongside giving you the best pre-hard mode bullets, you can also get bacon from these. There we go. Oh my gosh, that took forever. Okay, well, as much as that does cost a lot of money, You can get bacon from these, and the reason why bacon is so special is because it is the best possible level of food in the game, which is exquisitely stuffed, but it also, I think, might be like the second or third longest lasting buff of its kind, and you could just farm it. So if you have a money farm, this is great for pre-hard mode and hard mode. You can just buy a bunch of PIGRONATAs and just whack them all, and just get a ton of bacon, and you're set for life on food. So basically, at the end of the day, PIGRONATA's pretty goated, and there's no reason not to, like, abuse the crap out of these things. Like, they're great. Alright, next item. Alright, so next up, I want to talk about actually an entire group of underrated items, and that's going to be sentries, but in pre-hard mode. Pre-hard mode has 5 sentries, 4 from the Old One's Army, and 1 from Tearclops, and honestly, they're all pretty great, so let's take a look at some uses. Okay, let's start off with probably, arguably, one of the best uses of sentries in pre-hard mode. If you have a high damage sentry like the Houndius Shootius, you can use a war table to spawn 2 of them, and now all of a sudden these dudes are like free damage for the entire Skeletron fight. Like, good free damage. Like, we're past the point of just like some silly little passive damage, to now we're getting like a genuine crucial part of this build. I also have some like actual statistics to back this up. I have this spreadsheet here that Keppel's made. It's got a whole bunch of info on like Old One's Army, sentries. It'll be in the description. Basically, with all this information, by adding the Houndius Shootius to your optimized melee loadout, you can make your Skeletron fight go 22% faster. And in turn, that brings your DPS from 270 to 327? Like, huh? That's nutty. Like, this is beautiful stuff right here, man. And keep in mind, all of this is just by adding a sentry to your fight and doing what you would normally do. Like, this is it's just free damage. As for the Old One's Army sentries, these are all just genuinely good outside of the actual event itself. The Ballista Rod and the Flame Burst Rod are sort of similar to the Houndius Shootius, where it's just like extra damage. You place them down during a boss fight, an invasion, they'll do good damage. It's free damage, damage, right? Now we have the 2 sentries that are a whole lot different from the other ones. We have the Explosive Trap Rod and the Lightning Aura Rod. Both of these are kind of a perfect example of why I think sentries are so good and why I think they're pretty underrated. And that's literally just like the sheer variety and like versatility of these things. Throw your Explosive Trap Rod in the middle of a Granite Golem farm, and now all of a sudden you just got increased productivity on your gem farm from geodes. Throw a Lightning Aura Rod in the middle of the Queen Bee fight, and now it's gonna help with all those little bees that are swarming you, right? Like, they have pretty random capabilities, but I love that they can be sort of like adapted into certain boss fights and situations and used effectively. Like, maybe I'm just biased, but I think these are super cool. So W sentries, use all of these. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, so for the last item today that I deemed underrated, this is a bit of an interesting one, but we need to talk about the flare gun, okay? It happens way too often where I'm playing with a friend or taking a gander on YouTube, and I see somebody open up a chest, get a flare gun, and immediately think, oh, that's useless, and then they throw it away, or they sell it, or they put it in the bottom of a chest till the end of time. But like, this thing is really good. Now, I'm not gonna act like the flare gun is any sort of like boss slayer or some advanced weaponry, but like, it is genuinely like a peak cave exploration tool. Obviously, I gotta start off with like the intended purpose. If I'm in a cave such as this one, and it's nice and open and there's lots of different pathways that I could explore, I can just shoot my flare gun around and just discover like all of this. I know it's not stupid because I'm just explaining what the flare gun does, but 9 times out of 10, this is just more effective and more revealing than torches will ever be, unless you go around and manually place them like a little goon. Another thing, if you're on keyboard and mouse, you can hold shift and it pulls out your torches, but if you're using a flare gun, you can just hold shift, and when you move your cursor out of the torch range, it swaps to the flare gun. So I can be exploring, placing torches, and then I get to a place where it's distant, and I can't just place a torch. I just shoot my flare gun. Shoot my flare gun and see what's up in that water. By the way, flares can go in water, and they don't get put out, which is great. Like, the flare gun is just so practical. Like, there's so many, like, small uses that just make caving, like, so much easier and so much more, you know, good. Or something like that. Basically, what I'm getting at with the flare gun is that you should never, like, throw it away. If you have it in your inventory, you might as well just keep it around until you get to the point where you're not really exploring caves anymore. Like, this thing is good. And that's gonna do it for today, everybody. Once again, drop a sub, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a hype. Wait, that was crazy. Anyway, big thanks to the channel members on the left, and if you enjoyed this one, click that video on the right, you'll probably enjoy that too. Alright, have a good one. Bye bye.